So, if you're watching this video, the chance is pretty high you're playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 right now. And no matter what platform you're playing it on, one thing is similar throughout all versions of the game, and that is battle points. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with it or just haven't played Battlefront 2, battle points is the currency you gain every single round that allows you to spawn in special units, such as heroes or reinforcements. And you can gain them from doing a magnitude of things. Some things include dying, gives you 100 battle points, killing opponents gives you 150, playing the objectives can give you up to 600 battle points, and just another amount of assorted tasks you can do throughout the Battlefront will give you these battle points. And like we just said, you can spawn in as heroes or reinforcements with these points. And so they're very useful. You can't really play Battlefront without earning them and using them to purchase these awesome things. And while we all want to spawn in as our favorite heroes, like Han Solo or Kylo Ren, that's not always an option, because you can only have 2 heroes per side on the Battlefront at one time. And so that's when reinforcements come in. Reinforcements are definitely not heroes, but they're far better than your average soldier, and they vary. You have reinforcements that excel in agility and close quarters engagements. You have some that can jetpack across the battlefield, some that are equipped with light machine guns and massive amounts of health, some that can roll across the battlefield with ease. Reinforcements vary, and they're meant to turn the tide of a battle without making you completely powerful like a hero does. And they usually cost 1,000 to 2,000 battle points, if not in between there, to purchase them. And in today's video, we're going to be ranking all of the reinforcements as of right now, the Rise of Skywalker update in Star Wars Battlefront 2, from worst to best. Now, this is opinion-based, but I can guarantee you a lot of people are going to agree with this ranking, as many other YouTubers that I've watched after I formulated this ranking had something similar, if not very close to this. And it's for valid reasons. Now, coming in at our very lowest spot, number 16 is the Imperial Jet Trooper. Now, the first 6, okay, these are ones that just aren't very good at all, and there's no reason to spawn it as them. But the top 10 are really good, it's just I had to put them in some sort of order. But I think any ranking video will agree that the Imperial Jet Trooper is the worst reinforcement in the game. It costs 1,000 of your precious earned battle points to spawn in as what's supposed to be a fast-moving, long-range fighting Imperial Jet Trooper. Instead, we get a clunky, terrible aerial unit. He is armed with a light machine gun. Okay, let me explain to you what the aerial units are supposed to be, what their purpose on the Battlefront is. A quick-moving, fast-firing, long-range opponent that is capable of covering lots of ground very quickly and yet holding a fight up against multiple troopers at once. They're meant to be game changers. Okay? And this Imperial Jump Trooper only has 150 health, which, if I may add, is the same as the Assault class, so he has the health of a standard unit. Okay, which wouldn't be bad, you know, if his weapon was powerful, because he can run away from fights, so he doesn't really have to worry about being stuck once he gets into an engagement. The problem is his weapon. It is a light machine gun. Now, let me throw down some simple wisdom for you guys. A light machine gun that you can't aim down sights of isn't going to hit anything from a range, and if you're up close trying to play with the Rocket Trooper, his low health is not going to support your playstyle, and you're going to get eviscerated and lose that 1,000 battle points you worked hard to spawn in as. So, all in all, the Imperial Jump Trooper is pretty trash, and not something you want to waste your battle points on. Like any other aerial unit outdoes this guy by 1,000. But this dude is just the worst reinforcement in the game. Like, nothing is worse than this guy. But even so, there are some units out there that come very close. And coming in at our number 15 position, we have the First Order Flame Trooper. And if you haven't played with this guy, just don't. You don't want to. Now, the Flame Trooper could have been something great. It could have been one of those units that turns the tide of a battle, able to light hallways on fire and push objectives by burning entire areas, setting them ablaze, pushing back enemy forces. What we got instead was a unit who has a weapon that does so little damage. Now, I will give it this, okay? When you light someone on fire, they take damage for a few seconds after, meaning you don't have to constantly be in the line of sight and danger when you're attacking them. But the damage is so low that it doesn't even matter if it does damage for a few seconds. It just isn't enough to really kill someone unless you're right in front of them for a solid 3 seconds. And in that time, chances are high they're going to kill you. And even in that case, if you were to do that, that means you can only take on one person at a time with the Flame Trooper. Which isn't what a reinforcement's meant to do. They're meant to take on multiple people at once. And his grenade is terrible. I mean, when it comes down to grenades, it's better than a thermal detonator, right? It's lighting an area on fire, but it comes down to that same problem of, unless they're in the initial blast radius, the fire isn't going to do anything. And it's meant to block off an area, but you can simply run through it without dying very, very easily, making it pretty useless all in all. Now, he does have a health ability you can activate that recharges his HP, which means you might possibly be able to change and take on 2 people at once in close quarters, but the odds are still very unlikely of you coming out of that alive if you do so, because this is just such a terrible, terrible unit. And with that, coming in at our number 14 place, we have the Droideka. Now, the Droideka is one of those units that's very situational. It's not bad per se, it's just not the best. But there is one thing you can do, and you have to really pull it off right for the Droideka to be a good unit, and I will explain that in just a little bit. But let's get down to the base problem with the Droideka. It's not the speed. Okay, Droideka is the fastest unit on the Battlefront, hands down, probably faster than any other hero there is. It has great firepower, it has great damage, and it has a shield which prevents it from taking any damage in the first place. Now, it does have 150 health, which is pretty low, but then again, it has a shield to counter that. But the main thing that lowers the Droideka is its deployment. Coming out of roll form takes a solid 3 seconds, and to deploy your shield is another second, meaning that once you find the place you want to deploy, you are not able to shoot or fire for a solid 4 seconds. And at 150 health, it doesn't even take that many bullets to take you down. And that's, 1,000 and 2,000 battle points down the drain spawning in as a Droideka. Now, like I said, there is one way you can negate this super long time, and it makes the Droideka more of a viable unit. If you jump, which you can jump as a Droideka, you have to press X on the PlayStation, and it has a really long delay in between jumps, but you can do it. If you jump, and right before you hit the ground, you try to deploy into walking form and press your shield button, the second he hits the ground, he's already in, standing up form. And, it's less than a second, and his shield's deployed, all in less than a second, and you can go straight into firing your blasters. It's honestly very overpowered when you do it, and it's one of the things that makes a Droideka an actually viable unit if you can pull it off. But most people just can't pull it off. You have to be, spot on with your time. But, I mean, the Droideka can be a very good unit, but in most scenarios, it takes too long to deploy, and chances are very high when you're moving and at such low health, you're going to get shot and killed pretty easily. Which is why the Droideka comes in at the spot it does. Now, coming in at our number 13 spot is the Wookiee Warrior for the Resistance and Rebellion. And I don't have much to say about this guy. He used to be really powerful, but now his bowcaster has been nerfed so badly that the damage output is just terrible. And he can be cut down by heroes in about 3 lightsaber swings, and blaster fire kills this guy pretty quick. He still has a lot of good abilities that increase his health, but all in all, he's just never going to be what he used to be. And even the Chewbacca hero right now is just pretty much useless in most scenarios, and it's a waste of 1,500 battle points. There's not much to say about him. You can use him in some scenarios and his grenade's powerful, but they've just nerfed this guy so very badly that he's just unusable in most scenarios. And that takes us into our next position at number 12. We have the B2 Super Battle Droid. This isn't the aerial one, this is just the one that walks. And this isn't a bad unit, okay? We're kind of getting into, the better units that aren't bad, but they just had to be ranked, and so this is the order I did it in. B2 is pretty good, right? It has a missile that can fire in close quarters, which is really good for an Enforcer. It has a decently high health, and its blaster's pretty powerful. It all around is a really good reinforcement, and I can't think of any better Enforcer to put on the side of the Separatists. It is just very powerful in most scenarios, and I don't think it has a very powerful melee attack, but most of the time its blaster fires fast enough you can take down units without having to get that close to them. And like most enforcers, it has an ability that lets it regenerate its health, making it a pretty viable unit on the battlefront. And now coming in at our next position. At number 11, we have the Clone Arc Trooper. Now, this is kind of the same story as the Wookiee, and the ARC Trooper didn't take as heavy of a beating, okay? The ARC Trooper, when it first released, was like one of the only really good, next to the Jet Trooper, reinforcements on the clone side, and it was powerful. Blasters did a ton of damage, and they still do right now. It's been nerfed a little bit in the way of damage output, but its health has stayed the same, which is a very high number. Even aerial units, such as the B-2 battle droid that fly, have a pretty tough time taking down these guys. They put out a decent amount of damage still, and their scanner ability allows them to see any enemies within the area, which is, as I say, the very least powerful. It also has a pretty good melee attack, and all in all, it's just good in most scenarios. I don't have anything negative to say about the ARC Trooper. This is just where it comes in compared to other things, because when EA nerfs something, they nerf it hard, and that's exactly what they did to the ARC Trooper. And so while it won't be that superpower it once was, there's definitely nothing bad about it. And on an unrelated note, there's also a Captain Rex looking skin you can equip on him, so just bonus points for that category right there. Now coming in at our number 10 position, we have the Imperial Death Trooper. Now we're getting into like the really good ones, and this guy is the only other reinforcement on the Imperial side other than the Jet Trooper, which came in at our very lowest position. The Death Trooper should have been nerfed, but it wasn't. And, you know, now that I've played with it a bit more, they might have done something to its health, but it's perfect the way it is. It has great damage output, it has an overload ability that allows its gun to fire for much longer and faster, and it does a decent amount of damage output. It has a very high health, there's also a health booster you can activate with him, and his grenade to thermal imploder is very powerful, and something I didn't even realize is when you hit opponents with it, it shows them through walls for a few seconds, meaning that if you throw it into a crowd, you can use that to tell where opponents are and create a flanking route to take care of them, which is just a very powerful ability, which is why the Death Trooper comes in so high. It's just all around a very balanced unit, and it's the only other one on the Imperial side, which the Imperials desperately need some more units. Now at number 9 position we have the Capex Spy for the Resistance, and this one is very situational. Like I said, the Droideka was very situational, but this guy is extremely situational. His blaster's fine, his melee's pretty good. Those are like both, you know, very standard things. They're not good, they're not bad, they're just alright in the middle. But the real thing that makes him stand out is his airstrike ability. And, you know, being able to summon an orbital strike every few seconds is a very powerful thing. But there's a problem with it, okay? It doesn't work indoors, and if you've played Battlefront, you'll realize that a lot of the maps have indoor counterparts, like even Galactic Assault or Capital Supremacy, most of the time have a second stage that's all indoors, meaning the Capex Spy, unless you're in some scenarios, is almost useless, and if you're going back to most of the maps you can play him on for the Resistance, they're almost always inside or they're city streets, meaning people can easily take cover inside buildings and not have to deal with them. So he can be powerful, but only in certain situations. But again, his melee is pretty good, meaning he's pretty suited for most other scenarios as well. And now, coming in at our next position, being number 8, we have the Rocket Trooper for the Rebel. And I'm going to count the Resistance Trooper in here because they're basically the same unit with a different skin. Now, the Resistance Jump Trooper is pretty good. Its weapon is a long-range rifle that fires decently fast and in a burst, which is everything you'd want from a jump trooper. It's fast-firing, it has long range, and it puts out a lot of damage. They have all the normal jet trooper abilities, a rocket launcher, a far jump, and a close jump. And all in all, it's just a really good unit at taking care of vehicles and other things. I have nothing negative to say about the Rebel Jump Trooper. I do wish there was an option to take the scope off the weapon, because in a lot of scenarios, aiming down sights while you're jumping is kind of difficult. But it's still a very practical and very useful unit, and that's why it's coming in at the position it does. And now, moving on from that position, at number 7, we have the Avician Gunner. This thing is the definition of overpowered. overpowered. The Avician Gunner puts out massive damage, and when you activate the stance mode, it takes increased damage reduction and it puts out even more damage, along with firing much faster, making him a very, very overpowered unit when you do this. Now, the Avician Gunner is still very powerful as of today, and it has a running ability it can do where it charges through and knocks opponents back, and most of the time it's an instant kill on normal infantry, making the Avician Gunner a very powerful, very overpowered unit, and he can take on pretty much a team by himself if you use the right abilities and star cards with this guy. And yeah, just all in all, the Avician Gunner is a really good unit. And coming in at our number 6 position, we have the Commando Droid. And this is for the Separatist Alliance. The Commando Droid is a very good unit. It is very powerful. The melee attacks are great on it. The blaster is very high damage output. It's just a really good unit for most all scenarios. And I don't have anything negative to say about him. You can throw down a smoke grenade, which is his left ability, use his middle ability to turn on vision, which lets him see through walls and allows him to take on most all units because he can see them through his own smoke. And it just makes him a very powerful unit to use. And it's why he comes in as high as he does. The Commando Droid is just a really good unit. And there's also a thing you can do where if you use his dodge ability and then you pull out his melee and you time it perfectly, you can do it over and over and over again without any negative effect, and it allows you to basically like sonic your way across the battlefield. It's just really cool when you get it to work right. And now going into our next position, at number 5 we have the Sith Trooper, and this guy is awesome. His melee attacks are damaging. He also knows how to do a spin kick, which is just a really cool thing. But the rifle's a burst rifle, and if you aim down the sights, it fires a second charge shot that has an area of effect damage, meaning you can shoot it into a crowd of people and probably get off a few kills, which is just always a really powerful thing to be able to do. And all in all, these guys are just really, really cool and really powerful. You can activate their special vision to see around, see enemies and stuff. And yeah, their star cards are great. They're the same as all other, I think, infiltrators is what the class they fall under. And all around, they have a really good health, really good damage output. Just the second fire is really powerful. It reminds me of Iden Versio's second fire mode. And they're just a really good unit. The First Order desperately needed a good reinforcement after the Flame Trooper bombed. And this guy takes up that position perfectly. And now coming in at our number 4 position, we have the Clone Commando. The Clone Commando. When it first came out, you're going to see this happen a lot in this thing, is very powerful. They nerfed him a bit. And now, there is like the longest delay in history when you try to use this grenade launcher between shots. And I mean, it's still a very powerful weapon, right? Area of effect damage, it's still good. His blaster's decently powered. It is a really low damage, fast firing weapon, so you gotta be right up close when you're using it. But it's still very powerful, and his melee is pretty good too. He pulls a little dagger out of his arm and allows him to shoot and stuff. And then he has the extended health mode he can activate like most other enforcers. And just all around, he's a really good unit. He's really balanced, and he's probably one of the coolest looking units too when you get the Kashyyyk colors put on him. He has extremely high damage output if you use him in the right scenarios, and he excels in up close or long range combat as long as you know how to use his grenade launcher to great effect. So really, there's nothing negative to say about the Clone Commando, and it's all around a great unit, and I'd highly recommend using him if you're trying to get on some long kill streaks, as that's basically what this guy was built for. And that puts us at our next position. And coming in at our number 3 spot is the B2 Battle Droid Jet Trooper. And that's the one you've probably seen me playing for most of this video. Now, Jet Troopers vary. The Clone Jet Trooper has a high damage output but low health. Okay, the Separatist Jet Trooper is the opposite. It has a lower damage output, not much lower mind you, but lower. And it has 300 health, so it has double the Clone Trooper's health, but only a little bit less damage. It also has a very fast-firing rocket, faster than it takes to fire the Clone Troopers, and just all around a really powerful blaster. Still not the Clone Trooper's blaster, but it's powerful. And it's just a really good unit. It's probably the best reinforcement right next to the Commando Droid on the Separatist faction side, at least. and it can dominate most scenarios. Like, as you see me in the video, you can take on tanks, you can take on infantry, you can just take on most any other units with ease with this guy. He's very powerful, and just all around a really good unit. And now coming in at our number 2 position is the guy I've been praising so greatly, the Clone Jet Trooper. He only has 150 health, which is the same as a standard infantry unit, standard assault unit. But his blaster does unreal amounts of damage. Like, the damage output on this thing is a few shots to take out an infantry. Like, 2 shots and an infantry is dead. It's that simple. He is extremely powerful. He has a rocket launcher like all other jet units do. And he can move pretty fast. Again, he has low health, but the blaster makes him so powerful. In midair, you just gotta land 2 shots, and if one of them's a headshot, the unit's dead. Doesn't matter what they are. He can take out other reinforcements with ease, and this guy is a hero killer. If you spent like a solid 2 seconds fighting on a hero with this guy and they weren't blocking, the hero would be dead on the ground. It doesn't matter if they're Anakin Skywalker, who they are. It could be Darth Vader, who has the highest health in the game. This guy can still just crush their health bar. And that's why he's so greatly overpowered and comes in at our number 2 position. But there is one unit that outdoes every other reinforcement. No reinforcement has anything on these guys, okay? And that's coming in at our number 1 spot, the First Order Jet Trooper. Now, what sets this guy apart, okay, from all these other units, is his jetpack. It's not like most other units, where you get to activate the long jump or short jump. It's like Boba Fett's. You can hold it down, and you can fly for as long as you want in any direction until you run out of fuel. But unlike Boba Fett, if you aim down sights, you hover in place with extreme fuel reduction, and can shoot as much as you want. And then, he also has a built-in grenade launcher, which actually is a really good crowd control device, and it's just very powerful in general, and allows him to take out a lot of units. His blaster's very high damage output, and he has a really good health bar for a jet trooper. All around, he is everything you could want from a reinforcement, and for 1,000 battle points, this guy is probably the most overpowered unit on the Battlefront, and I would highly recommend using him whenever you get the chance, or whenever you play as the First Order, because once you play him, you don't ever want to play any other jet trooper again. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video ranking all of the Star Wars Battlefront 2 reinforcements. It's been fun, and you might see more rankings like this if this one pans out. I'm getting back into Battlefront 2. Right now I'm a rank 62 on just the Jet Trooper alone, rank 51 on my Assault class. I'm just building back up my ranks and stuff, and yeah, this game is just amazing. So if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video, possibly subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and comment down below if you have any other opinions on where someone should be ranked, or if you just want to talk about something from the video. And with that, this is J-Man the Joker signing off. Have an awesome rest of your day. Peace. Also, I couldn't miss this opportunity. This image is just great.